Shalom, 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 yasha'Allah. This your boy, Brother Shamwa Allah, back at you with another quick edifying video. Today's lesson is going to be called The Penalty for Paying with Cash. The penalty for paying with cash. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Halal, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and his only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi. All right, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Rawchaa. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have ruled well through the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days. And let's push this gospel and this truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom to all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and on the hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all as well. Like I said, today's lesson is going to be called The Penalty for Paying with Cash. All right. And this is from People magazine, People. It says McDonald's is rounding the prices of orders to accommodate the penny shortage. Here's how the new system works. Okay. It says the change only applies to payments made in cash. Okay. So only for those who are using actual cash. All right. This is how you know that this system is going to be pushing towards that digital. This is another thing, right? And remember, when Trump said that he was going to stop the pennies, producing the pennies, all right, and you knew that they were going to be, once you start the pennies, then everything else is going to stop. All right. But you see how this is working. So it says McDonald's is rounding the prices of orders to accommodate the penny shortage. Here's how the new system works. Okay. It says the change only applies to payments made in cash. All right. It says, what do you need to know? It says McDonald's is implementing a rounding system for its cash payments. The fast food restaurant will round payments to the nearest 5 cents so cashiers and customers can provide exact change. This comes during a penny shortage, the months before the final pennies are expected to be minted. All right. So if they're going to round, to the nearest 5 cents, what are we talking about? So, if your order was, $10.97, right? What is that? 10. Then they'll just round it up, all right, to 11. All right. They're going to round it up. So now when you think about that, they're just going to get either extra cents or they're going to lose extra cents. It's going to be a penalty either way. All right. Because they're going to round, and more than likely they're going to round up, right, instead of rounding down. All right. So now if you think about that, with multiple transactions, all right, with the cash, all right, they're collecting more money, at the latter end. All right. And here you are, even though it's pennies on the dollar, right, but it still adds up over time. All right. So now, as you see, that it's really like a penalty for paying with cash. Why? Because they're trying to get rid of the cash. Okay, this cash system, and go digital. All right, what we've been talking about. Salakia. Let's go back. So it says McDonald's is adapting to the halt of penny production and the resulting shortage. It says the fast food chain's representatives confirmed to ABC News that is in the process of establishing a system to round up or down to the nearest 5 cents. The change comes as the production of pennies ceased, causing an issue for many customers and cashiers to provide exact change. Okay, so now either they're going to charge you more or less. And we already know, when you're dealing with business, right, they're not going to try to lose money. So they're going to try to make money. All right. So they're going to round up. All right. Which means now you really are getting penalized for using cash because they don't want you to use cash. All right. As we just saw right here, it says the change only applies to payments made in cash. Why? Because they're trying to get rid of the cash altogether. All right. It says following the discussion, following the discontinuation of pennies nationwide, some McDonald's locations may not be able to provide exact change. We have a team actively working on long-term solutions to keep things simple and fair for customers. McDonald's told ABC in a statement, this is an issue affecting all retailers across the country. That's why I did it, right? Not just for McDonald's, right? Shouldn't be going there anyway. But this is something that would affect, all retailers. Okay. So it says, this is an issue affecting all retailers across the country, and we will continue to work with the federal government to obtain guidance on this matter going forward. It says some locations have already adopted the rounding system, ABC reported. McDonald's did not immediately respond to people's requests for comment. McDonald's added that the nearest 5-cent rounding only applies to cash payments, not card or other cashless options. Similarly, the change also doesn't impact the use of the McDonald's app. It says ABC reported that businesses in other nations that have experienced a shift in currency have adopted similar rounding practices. Okay. It says after President Nero expressed interest in discontinuing the penny shortly after his inauguration, the U.S. Treasury Department placed its final order of penny blanks, which are expected to be minted by early 2026. It says the reasoning behind the decision, which has been bipartisan support, is that it's become too expensive to mint pennies. In the last decade, the Treasury estimated that the cost of producing one penny has risen from 1.3 cents to 3.7 cents. Consequently, this past February, it says the U.S. Mint estimated that it lost around 85 million producing 3 billion pennies in 2024. Removing the penny from the U.S. currency has been a bipartisan issue for many years. Before Nero directed the Treasury to stop making the penny, President Barack Obama and both chambers of Congress sought to end the production of the coin. Okay, so ultimately, what they want is the cashless payment. All right, to go to digital. All right, so now they're gonna make it harder and harder for you to use cash. All right, they're using different tactics. All right, so now when you're talking about rounding up, all right, depending on where it's at, to give people the exact change so you're not using pennies. All right, they call it a shortage, right? But you can continue to produce dollars all day long, but now all of a sudden it's an issue, right? Because they want to make it an issue because they want people to stop using cash and go to digital. And it's just so it makes it a smoother process, right? You already have some businesses, that are, that don't take cash, don't take cash. They only take, cards or, digital type of currency. Okay. And that's what we know that ultimately this place is leading up to. All right. And through that digital, guess what's going to happen? Through that digital, that's when, that move, all right, from that digital to the MOTB, all right, which is going to have all your currency, your medical, and everything else involved. Okay. So this is just another push towards digital, right? That digital towards the MOTB, all right? which is that micro CHIP, which is going to have all your information in one thing, okay, where you're not going to have any physical, cash, physical ID, none of that. It's going to be a physical RFID CHIP that's going to be in your hand and forehead at the end of the day, all right, to track everything and all your movements, okay? So we understand that this is, going into play, all right? So let's go to the book of Habakkuk. We'll just end it with a couple of scriptures, the scriptures that we use all the time. All right. Let's get that real quick. Let's go to the book of Habakkuk. All right. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse number 2. And it says, "And the Lord Yahawah Bahasham answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it." All right. So you see the vision. You see where this is going. All right. When you see these different things, okay, where they're penalizing you for using cash. Okay. Why? Because they want cash to go away. Right. Because their system is going to be digital. Okay. It says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come, it will not tarry." Okay. In the NLT verse 3, it says, "This vision is for a future time. It describes the end, and it will be fulfilled. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently, for it will surely take place. It will not be delayed." Okay, because ultimately that pushing towards the digital currency, all right, is ultimately going to be pushing towards, Revelation. Let's get it. 13 and verse 16. All right, one of the most important prophecies, right? That has to happen. Okay. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." It says, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." Okay. And we go to that word mark. Okay. And we know it is Kodagma. Let's get it.
Strong's G 5480. Haragba.
Right. A stamp, imprinted mark. All right. A mark branded upon, thing carved, sculptured, graven. Right. So it's a physical mark. All right. Which is the RFID CHIP. Okay. It's going to be either that brain CHIP or that hand CHIP. Okay. And it's a physical thing, and you're not going to be able to buy or sell unless you have that mark. Okay. So they're basically just pushing you towards, this whole prophecy right here. All right. Because this is ultimately what these top banking families, all right, of Esau, right, starting from the top banking families on down, this is what they want to do. All right. They want to have all people, all right, like it said, what does it say? It says he causeth all, verse 16, Revelation 13:16, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? Free or bond, it doesn't matter. Okay. They want everybody to take it. All right. So that they can control everything. All right. So, you see, you get the penalty for using cash is coming. All right. It's coming because they want to go towards the digital, because the digital is going to be closer to what? Revelation 13:16. Okay. So I just want to do this, this quick lesson. I saw an article similar to it before, but like you say, when you think about it, right? If they're gonna round it, they're gonna round it up, and they're gonna collect that extra little money, all right, on the back end, right? And if you do that enough times, and that adds up, all right. So basically, they're penalizing where the next time if you go to one of these establishments, instead of using cash, you're gonna be like, no, let me use my card. You know what I mean? Or and ultimately it's gonna have that mindset to get rid of cash in general. Think about how many people don't carry cash at this point, right? Most people have it either on their phone, right? They have it in on a card or whatever. Okay, so they're already programming you because they're going to that next step. All right, that what is that gradualism that they're doing? Okay, to move you towards their whole agenda, which is this Revelation 13 and 16. Okay, so with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Halal Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. Peace and blessings to the elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad, a mighty shalom to the 144,000 men. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who ruled well through the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days. Another mighty shalom to the rest of the elect in the household of faith. Continue to watch, all right, and understand, okay, these prophecies are going to be going to unfold and they're going to be fulfilled, okay? It says, though it tarry, wait for it because it will surely happen. Just paraphrasing, all right, it's coming, all right? And we're living in a time that is playing out, okay? So with that, we say abol babol and shalom.